Hello.
What up?
How you doing, Scotty?
I'm good, Jeremy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Just waiting on tomorrow night.
Right. I know, man. I so wish. You never know. I might pull something out of the hat. We'll see.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension. I'm Jeremy York. This is Scott Wilson. And
Welcome.
hopefully, what'd you think of the new intro?
Dude, amazing. And the music, just absolutely love it, dude. I absolutely love
Ryan
uh
did such an awesome job, didn't he?
Ry- Ryan Seymour is absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
I love yeah, I love that dude, man. He did such a great job.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Ryan Seymour created the new theme song for us, and he did it all inside of like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
All the production work and everything. He did a great job at it.
Yeah, we're truly, truly grateful for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. But tonight's going to be a good show.
It is.
Yeah. We actually met her at the Para Unity convention back
Yeah,
in September.
down in Kokomo, yep.
Yeah. Not Kokomo, Peru.
It was Peru, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, Kokomo, Peru, they're kind of close.
Yeah, we did. Well, you didn't go, I don't think.
No, I was
We
there.
go
I was there.
to Kokomo that night, though.
Right, no, I didn't go to Kokomo that night.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. There was a lot of people there that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bring out our guest. Her name is Clarissa Haler.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Did I say your
Hey.
name right?
You did. It's
Okay.
Clarissa Haler.
I,
Yep.
I'm always worried if I'm going to botch it up or something.
Nope. You did good.
Doesn't matter. It could be the easiest name.
Well, it could be worse. I could have given you a completely different last name, like I did Scott on our first show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he did. He called me Scott Smith.
Scott Smith.
I'm like, whoa,
Nice.
Because
wrong
we have a
Scott.
Scott Smith on our team, and
Yeah.
he's been with us longer than anybody else has.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I could see that happening then.
hmm so I am going to start sharing the crap out of this thing.
Okay.
But also for those in the audience who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Clarissa Haler. I consider myself a medium empath. I've been publicly providing readings since December of 2015. I started with just going online. I joined some psychic groups. And, I saw everybody just kind of providing these readings and doing what they do. And I'm like, I feel like I am so intuitive and that I could really help some people. I could give them some information, and I talked with one of the admins, and she said, "Hey, why don't you do me a reading?" We discussed information in regards to her daughter who's been MIA, and ever since then it's just taken off. I've just realized, wow, I this is something I know how to do, and this is something I'm talented in. So I just thought to myself, I'm just gonna do this. And it felt so good to help this person out that it's almost addicting,
Right.
when you're able to do that you're like, oh, that's what I want out of every single client I meet, is I want to be able to somewhat in some way help them. So yeah, I've been doing that since then. I investigate also. I actually didn't start paranormal investigating first. I didn't start that until I think April 2016 was my first investigation. I was with one group for a couple of years, left that group, and then I've just been kind of open to assisting other groups. They can contact me, they can ask me to tag along, whatever they want to do. I did create a page for a group called Unveil Paranormal. That is primarily so I can go on and share the um, the like investigative side of things, because I really enjoy that side just as much as I like the medium side. So that's why I have both of those pages, so that I can share both sides of it.
And
No.
you and I got to work together a few months ago too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and by the way, that client is in good shape, and she has actually moved on from that house.
Awesome. Yeah, I long story short, without giving out too much information, because confidentiality to me is really important with this.
Mm-hmm.
I did get to revisit that family and gave them some additional information too. So I'm glad we both got to follow up with that.
Yeah, we recently did with another member of her family just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
yeah, it was awesome. Nice to know that we're actually helping not just one person, but an entire family.
Yep. Yep. With multiple homes and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's so nice that one of those homes was like not even a minute drive from my house.
That's ideal, ain't it?
It is.
I think that's every investigator's dream. Oh, I'm just gonna go across the street and investigate this.
Yeah. I don't have that luxury where I'm at. There's no haunted locations that are known to the public around here. I've never had a client in town, so I've not had that
Yeah.
luxury.
And where you live, you're actually closer to me than
Yes.
Jeremy. So
Yes.
and the old Dutch Mill restaurant, that dude, I love that place. I would love to know the history behind it and everything.
Oh yeah. It's not there though. You know that,
I
right?
know. Yes,
Okay.
it's like a little strip mall or
Yes, yes.
Verizon or something there. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The only thing that I recall hearing about Bluffton is something about a children's playground, and I've asked around to different people, and nobody seems to know uh, what that's all about.
Yeah, I actually don't know either. There's a lot of places here in town that I would personally love to investigate. I just know how the city works around here, and I think they kind of frown upon just showing up at, graveyards or
Yep.
anything that may be public property at nighttime or private property and, without permission. I just know how they are around here. They're not as open about this. But there are some places. We have a bridge called the White Bridge. It has some stories behind it. I know a couple people who had family members who actually passed away in our Wabash River, and they were at the White Bridge at the time. One of them was a 16-year-old boy. One of my coworkers' sons passed. He jumped in the river after another kid, and wasn't able to save him, unfortunately. But and then we have this cemetery that's over on the west side of town. I would love to investigate it. It's from like 1812 or something like that. It's old. You can hardly find any of the stones out there. I would just love to investigate there. So
Is this the one that's got two cemeteries right across the street from each other?
no, the 1812. It's called the. So I think it's the Bluff. I think it's literally the Bluffton Cemetery, founded in 1812. I went there to walk through it. You guys may be familiar with it. It's ironic. It's right by Hale Street, and it's right there by the river. So I've always wanted to investigate it. I know as a kid we used to goof off and like hang out over around there, but it's an interesting area, and I know it's one of the older cemeteries we have around here. So.
Okay, it
Yeah,
must not be the one that I'm thinking of, because I remember Scott Smith and I went to a couple of different cemeteries in Bluffton, and two of them were right across the street from each other.
There are a couple, probably out on one of the main highways. I know we have two across the street down by our. There's like a mobile home park nearby. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
that's the one you're
really
at.
don't remember. It's been years ago.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
just remember it's like like a wooding area around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of cemeteries, especially if you go out in the country and drive around.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Scotty.
I was reading a comment from Howard. He said he's hungry and can.
What was he saying now?
Well, he said he could only have seafood and wanted to know what I was eating. Well, currently I'm not eating anything, but I had Chinese tonight. We had Panda Express, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I didn't have the Wendy's nuggets, so I apologize to my nugget people.
I do have this.
You always got a Slim Jim.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Jeremy told me about the food thing, and I ironically enough, I actually ate Chinese also tonight, but
Nice.
I did save my crab ragoon if I get hungry while we're chit-chatting.
That's awesome.
See, now I just feel like, oh, wait, I do. Hold on.
See, there have actually been some people that would get mad at Scott for not having chicken nuggets with him.
I do have my Reese's Fast Breaks.
Okay. So we all got snacks.
Yeah.
Snacks.
Awesome.
Okay, so you've only been doing the mediums. Oh no.
Oh no.
We bow to no corporate sponsors.
You dirty dog.
Bye, everybody.
That's awesome, Tim. Everybody's favorite Tim, right there. That is just awesome. At least somebody came through with the chicken nuggets.
I know.
It's okay, Scotty.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Howard. I'm sorry, Jeremy, Steven, Tim, Crystal, Wendy. Oh, I can't. Can I say that? That restaurant that I get my nuggets from. I apologize. I will have them next weekend.
Okay. So anyway, Clarissa, so you've only been doing the mediumship for like 5-6 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
publicly, yes.
Okay, publicly. So
yes.
So how old were you when you first started getting these sensations?
Well, it's a funny story. I have a couple situations that there's some that I'm not sure they were paranormal related, and there's ones I know was. So the very first experience I had to have been like, I don't know, 5 or something around there. And I kept, and it wasn't like a paranormal experience. The second one is actually more of a paranormal experience. But it was a sense of this certain man that kept following me around, and he was Caucasian, he wore a hat, he was older, he he just kept popping up in so many things, like just in the neighborhood. Like I'd be outside playing, I'd swear I see him like standing across the street. And I didn't really understand that until I actually dived into it years later. But the biggest paranormal experience, the thing that really triggered my mind into thinking, even thinking about death, was the first death I've ever experienced. So before anybody I knew ever died, to me it was like not a real thing. But then when I was 8, my grandfather had actually passed away. The night that he passed away, we had just moved into a new house. I have a twin sister. Me and my twin sister were sharing a bedroom at the time, and we got woken up in the middle of the night and to let us know that our grandfather had passed away. Well, that night I had actually had a very vivid dream. And you'll notice that I have a lot of vivid dreams. That's where I get a lot of my information, is through dreaming. And he had come to me, and he was like a tornado. That was like how he represented himself, which was weird, but who knows? I was 8, and he was like helping me feel better. Like I didn't understand what was going on because I'd never experienced death. To me, death was not really real until then. And he was trying to comfort me and stuff. And then it wasn't until I had awoken and I had saw everybody mourning and upset by this, and when I realized, oh my God, that was my grandfather that actually came to me in my dream. And that was probably the first thing that triggered me to actually think that the paranormal existed, spirit existed, any of that existed. Because before that, to me, it was like I went to church, just like we weren't raised in a church, I guess, religious family at all. But like my grandparents would go. So I go with them. They talk about heaven, hell, and all that stuff. But to me, it was like, whatever, it's not real,
Right.
So it just is, it gets you thinking when you actually experience that, like, oh my gosh, death is real. It's a real thing. It's permanent, and these people are gone. And so, yeah, that's just why, that's probably the first experience that really like got me into thinking about anything paranormal.
Well, and I know it's probably, well, at least for Jeremy being older like I am, during the paranormal, it was always kind of hard to talk about with parents and stuff because a lot of times they wouldn't, believe you or anything. Was this something that you was able to talk to your family about you having your vivid dreams and stuff, or was this something taboo where you couldn't even talk to them about?
The thing is, during my childhood, after I turned 8, the irony is the same night that my grandfather died, the house we just moved in, the very first night we moved in there, that was the night he died. That house was haunted. Me and my siblings would talk about it, how our radios would turn on, how the TVs would turn on, how we'd feel like weird, like the room feels colder all of a sudden. Like we would chit chat about that, but like my parents, like I never really chit chatted with them about any of this stuff. I grew up with both my parents in homes, but we kind of lived in a family where we all just do our own thing,
Right.
It's kind of weird, but that's kind of how me and my siblings grew up to be decent people, but that's just how we were raised. And so we would discuss it and we would tell everybody our house is haunted. We know it's haunted. We moved in that house in 1995, when the year before, the prior person that owned the house in 1984, he actually committed suicide in the garage. Like I got a news article and everything on it. So we knew that somebody had died at that property. Whatever's happened at that property beforehand is unknown because the house was about 100 years old at this point. So, who knows what else has happened in that home. So, but we did know that for a fact because we were the ones that purchased the house right after.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So, so would you actually see this guy?
Well, the thing is, I would constantly feel a male presence in the house. I wouldn't say that I've ever physically seen him. There's shadows and stuff that I would see. I'd feel super uncomfortable. I was afraid to like go up and down our stairs. My sister, I swear, was pushed down several times that stairs. Like she's kind of clumsy, but I don't know if she just fell that many times or she was pushed, because that was like one of the main places that made me nervous was the staircase. But because the house, it was a little bit older, so the staircase was actually like there was a door in front of it. So you open the door and then you can go up this little narrow staircase and then it turns to the top. So when me and my siblings were upstairs, we felt very isolated from the downstairs. And most of the activity happened upstairs. Downstairs, we rarely had any issues. My parents never mentioned having any issues because I know that it was brought up by my other siblings to them, but they deny it. Like we've asked them as adults and they're like, no, I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything, So, but us kids, my brother, my sister, they will back me up 100%. That house is haunted.
Now, with your sister, you said you're a twin.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, does she have any abilities like yours, or just you?
Well, I have a fun story about that, actually. As I told you, my grandfather passed away that night, and I had that dream I had. It wasn't until I started doing this publicly that me and my sister actually had a serious conversation about the situation. And that same night, I didn't know this till the last couple of years. That same night, she too had a dream about her grandfather. And she too felt like she was visited by him. So we were both in the same room sleeping, both having these dreams. that were really tied to what was going on in the wake, and we didn't even know it till years later when I started actually publicly doing this.
Wow.
That is awesome.
So she's probably not as in tuned as I am, because she tries to think, I'm a pretty logical person, but she doesn't, she's got a lot of I call it cloudiness that kind of keeps her from getting in touch with all the energies around her. Like she's got this guard, cloudy, however you want to explain it, but that's kind of what I feel. I think if she really opened up, she could, though.
So kind of like her third eye is squinting rather than wide open.
Yeah.
Right.
So like most twins have, do you two have some sort of a connection, whereas if you feel something, she feels it too, or vice versa?
Occasionally. Now we're fraternal twins, and they say, for scientific speaking, fraternal twins are just like regular twins. They don't have as deep of a connection as you would have with identical twins, because the DNA is just completely different. But there are times where we could read each other. We don't do it as well now that we're adults and we live our own lives. But when we were in school, we were always, our lockers were next to each other. We took plenty of classes together, and we could read each other's minds. We knew. But then again, it could be because we spent so much time together. But I like to think there may have been a little bit more there.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
No, I was just reading comments, everybody just saying hi and whatnot, so I apologize.
Oh.
Hi, people in the comments. I can't see them, so.
Yeah, she's using her phone, so she can't see any of the chats.
Don't be smack talking. I will read it later.
Yeah, she'll put a curse on you.
No.
Okay, so you've been feeling this for several years. At what point did you think to yourself that you can actually start helping people before you really dove into it? What was the first occasion that gave you this thought? Well,
it really would have came down to the first reading I did. The reason I got into it back in 2014, really ongoing for several years, I was in a very deep depression. My family had suffered a tragedy. It was a difficult time, and I think that is. Hold on. Sorry. If you've heard a beep, I'm sorry if my phone beeped at you.
You didn't hear anything.
Okay, good. So it wasn't the greatest time for me. And, I've always been curious about this stuff ever since I learned it was real. And, when I did that first reading, it was just, it was strange to me because it was via chat. I didn't have a picture. All I had was first names. That's all I had. And that's how I do readings still to this day. I don't like playing the guessing game. I don't want to, okay, well, is it a Mary? Is it a Joseph? Just tell me their first name. All right. Just tell me the first name. Let's start there and go from there. Because it's not my job to figure out how they passed away unless they need to know. I've had mystery cases. I've had people ask, is this a legit murder? Is this person still missing? Are they dead or whatever, I do my best to help those people, but I'm not going to play the guessing game. I try to connect with them on an emotional level. That's why I put in that I'm an empath, because that's where I connect with people the most, is through emotions. It goes the same way with the living as much as it does the deceased. It's the easiest way for me to connect with you is if I can get to know you on the emotional scale. But when I did that reading for that woman, and I just, I knew, we talked about where her daughter was, why she basically ditched her children, all this stuff. And I just knew, first off, it was, oh my God, I can't believe I know what I'm talking about. Like, you sit here and you have these, like, you meet people and you have all these thoughts in your head about that person. You're like, okay, maybe I'm just being judgy or whatever, but then you're right. And it's like, how do I know these people without knowing these people? And I feel like I've always been good at judging friends and other people. Like, I would have some, I'd have maybe some shady friends or whatever, but I always kept them at bay to where, I knew how far I could take it. So I've always been able to read people really well. I've always been able to understand people really well, keep a clean group of people around me, and whatnot. So it really just came down to like that light bulb moment where I was like, I know what I'm talking about. Why am I just ignoring these thoughts I have in my head? And so that's really what took it off,
And when you're talking about being able to connect with people on an emotional level, does it take a toll on you?
Absolutely. I am very sensitive to people. I used to be, especially when I was a teenager. I was like, I didn't care about your emotions. I didn't care about your feelings. Like, I was a little rebel. Okay, it was good times. But as I got older, I've become so much more emotionally connected with people that it's like when they feel something, even if they're not feeling it right now, it's like childhood traumas will pop in, and I'd be like, oh my God, this isn't good. And, I've witnessed personally childhood traumas, not from myself, but like family members experiencing it. And so I know a little bit about what it's like. But when I'm trying to read for somebody, it's like I'm them. I'm that person. And it's crazy because I shouldn't know how those feelings are. I shouldn't know what that feels like. That's not something I personally experienced. So it does, absolutely. Over the years, I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at keeping myself at a safer place, or also recovering from it. I still have issues occasionally when I go to certain haunted locations. I'll be drained completely the next day. Sometimes when I do readings for people, I'm just exhausted the rest of the day. So it does take a toll on you. And I say this all the time. If you're a psychic or a medium and you're not exhausted after a reading, I don't think you're doing it right. Because there's no way you can be so comfortable with, like, oh, let's just do the next one. Like, if I want to know their secret, like if they have a secret to feeling so good after they do readings that don't feel emotional toll on them, I want to know what they do to feel better. I don't know, 5-hour energy drink or whatever they do. I always try to eat and drink water and stuff when I do readings. So
yeah. Okay. We do have a question in the chat. Somebody is asking, do you do they're asking remote healing.
Yeah. Do you do any remote healing?
Yeah.
As of this moment in time, I do not. Now, keep that in mind. Since I'm an empath, I feel it is absolutely necessary I learn how to do healings. I feel it's something that I've been wanting to dive into, something I haven't dived into yet, but I feel like since I have such a drive to help people make them feel a little bit better, that's something that I want to focus on. I want to learn how to heal people and all that, so.
Oh, Howard.
Yeah, you don't want to read.
All I saw was something about plumbing, and then it popped away when I was.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. Trust me, that's all you need to know.
Oh, poor Howard.
Yeah,
Howard and his toilet demon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Howard, I'm definitely coming after you with a clown doll. I promise you that. Okay, so when you're doing your readings, do you prefer it to be like one-on-one, or are you able to do remote readings?
Both. I can do remote readings. I've done them via chat. I've done them via video like this. I've done them just over the phone. I've done remote viewings, or not remote viewings, remote readings. But Face to face, absolutely fine with that also. I used to do them a lot at Paracons. I kind of slowed down on doing Paracons because they are exhausting to have, and because I don't charge an arm and a leg. Like I charge like 15-20 bucks because I feel like, okay, just help me pay for my gas here, guys, and I'll help you. Like that's, I'm not trying to make a profit off of this, which now I don't even charge at all. That's when I was doing Paracons. But yeah, I could do face to face. The only thing I've only been asked once to do a large group. It was for the recreational department down in Avon, Indiana. I actually went down there a couple years ago, and it was like a Halloween special they did. They did the bridge in Avon. You guys are probably familiar with that. They did ask me at first to do a group reading, and I will tell you if I'm not comfortable doing a reading. And I've never done a large group reading before. I said, listen, you want to have 2 or 3 people in the room? Fine. But I am not about to sit in front of 20 people with all this information coming through and try to do a reading. I don't feel like it's going to be, I like to make it more personal, you know what I mean? And you're sitting in front of 20 people and you're like, well, then what am I going to do? I'm going to be like Teresa Caputo or something. You know what I mean? Like, let's just play the name game. Like, oh, I'm getting this person, but I don't know who it's from because there's so many messages coming through. And that's kind of why they do the who's this coming from, who's that coming from. But it's not really my thing. It's not really my thing to sit in a large room and do that.
Yeah, to me, that would be so overwhelming just trying to deal with all those emotions that would come in and everything. And I love the way you said, just tell me the name because I'm not going to guess. And I love that because I'd been with a team who a lady was part of, and when she did her stuff, and I'm not trying to say this in a rude or mean way, but it's what I call fishing. I felt like she was always fishing for something,
Right.
I feel like I'm getting a J or something. So, and I love to tell me and let me go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, we got another question here. Do you ask your guides to help out during the reading? Do you have a guide?
There's something interesting you're going to learn about me, guys. I started doing this blindly, and even though I've purchased a couple books and stuff, I've never read them. I've never taken a mediumship class. I've never taken a psychic class, a Reiki class, nothing. I've never done any of this. I decided years ago I was going to learn this all on my own because that's just the type of person I am. So when it comes to guides, there are moments in time where I feel like the same person is coming through and helping me out. But the majority of my readings, now let's not talk about my personal life is different because that's a little different when it comes to guides. But readings, it's usually whoever is coming forward that is leading that reading. Outside of readings, I do feel strongly, my belief is there is something out there because at times when I've asked for guidance, I've gotten guidance. And so to me, that is my guides. That is whoever is connecting with me and telling me and triggering my mind to think one way or do another thing. That is my guides. And unlike some psychics mediums, they're like, oh, I know my guides. I know their names. I know what they look like. I almost feel like the visitors I get are almost abstract. So they're not like people. And so they're like a universe. And so that's why when it comes to readings, it's the people coming through, period. But when it comes to everyday life, there is something out there that does guide me. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Now, I know you talked about also investigating. So I'm curious,
Yes.
when you're going to do investigation, do you find it hard to separate you doing the medium job and just investigating, and vice versa when you're that medium that's going in to help a team and and you're not investigation? Do you find it hard to separate the two?
Absolutely. There are times where I want to go in so bad and just shut it off. We're just going to look at our K2s, our EMFs. We're going to look at the cameras. We're going to look at, use our S-Box, whatever we're using. And that's it. Like, that's all we're doing. I don't want to think about the energy around me. I don't want to think about what may be out there because, like I said, I'm interested in both. I want to be able to understand, I don't want to just understand that, oh, I can do this. I want to know why I can do this, So same thing with, oh, why, I want to know why this experience is happening. So it is very hard. Now, if I go in as a medium, it's easier because most people know that's what I do. So when I'm doing, especially when I'm going with other teams and stuff like that, it's easier for me to go as the medium because that's what is pretty much expected. If I go in as just wanting to do investigations, it's harder because I can shut it off, but then I almost always get asked that question, what you feeling?
Right.
So even if I don't get asked it personally, it obviously comes to mind while I'm standing there and I think I feel an entity next to me. Scientifically, I just, oh, well, let's see if I just feel breeze. We'd be like, I feel breeze. Well, it's not the same. It's like, no, I feel an entity. I don't feel a breeze. I feel an entity. So it's a lot harder to just be an investigator than it is to do the mediumship. But, it does, they can kind of blend, but not always.
Has there come a time where it's actually been detrimental to trying to do an investigation?
What do you mean, like dangerous?
Not necessarily dangerous, but to the point where if you're at a really haunted location and you got all this information coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and in all these spirits trying to talk to you, does it get overwhelming to the point where you actually have to leave?
It does. It's not often that when I get overwhelmed by too many spirits, I will actually tell them to hold up. Like I get a little bit of attitude sometimes. I don't know why with them, but I do have to kind of tell them, hold on. But the times where I've actually walked out were always times where I've gotten sick from being there. It's never been because there's too many people talking to me. It's always somebody's making me feel sick or somebody's touching me inappropriately. It's situations like that where I usually walk away. Usually not by the overwhelming amount of people coming forward.
Yeah, here's another one. Do you ever have rain in the ears?
All the time.
I do.
Do you? Nice.
Yeah, I do. Like, and I always blow it off. I don't know if there's something behind that from you guys, but yeah, I could be standing just outside and all of a sudden my ear rings. And what's odd about it is, people will say, well, if your ear's ringing, somebody's talking about you. So
yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
I'm just curious what that means now, because like you guys might freak me out a little bit here.
Well, I've got ringing in my ears almost constantly, and for me, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but mine come in different tones, and sometimes it has actually been so loud I can't even get to sleep.
Yeah.
How bad it is, but I've always attributed, at least for me, to tinnitus.
Yeah, and that's what it usually is for most people. I mean, it's a scientific proven, like it causes this. It's like a folklore that it means somebody's talking about you, and sometimes it does seem like you get a phone call and be like, "Oh, my ears were just ringing. Were you talking about me or something?" They'd be like, "Yeah, I was." So it can go both ways. You can have that experience where it's just ringing in your ears, and you have that experience where it's like, okay, I think this person was talking about me. So absolutely.
Okay, we got another question here for you.
Sure.
There seems to be more people than ever coming into their psychic gifts. Do you believe there is a great awakening on the horizon, or is it simply in the numbers of the population?
I have a couple theories on this. Okay. You're gonna think I'm like some modern day like philosopher or something because I have theories on a lot of things. Um, the world itself is having a huge awakening, which is great. It needs it. It really does. As in for individuals. Everybody, in my opinion, has some sense of intuition. Now, some science guys could be like, well, that's just instinct, not intuition. In a way, they're kind of hand to hand, in my opinion. But um, you always have a form of intuition, period. Everybody does. The problem is some people have good readings and then they just roll with it. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it almost gets too big to where everybody's a psychic now. And I will not say somebody's not a psychic ever. I mean, even if I don't believe they are, I'm never going to say that out loud. But the thing is, like, I know they have a form of intuition, so they're getting their information from somewhere. Are you getting it from your spiritual sources, or are you getting it elsewhere? Are you just I know this stuff. I know a lot about like reading people as in like psychology wise and sociology wise. I know a lot about that stuff. Are you reading them because you're anticipating them to be this way because they're cause and effect, they're acting this way so they're going to do this, or they're talking about this so this is something they experience. So you have to keep in mind, are they really connecting to the spirits, or do they just have knowledge that would actually help them be able to convince you that they are psychics? But the world is having an awakening. I absolutely agree with that. We need it more than ever. There's a lot changing coming up. Absolutely.
I like how you said that. Are they convincing them? And I think with social media now, and in a sense, has made it easier for people. I know you have mediums like you who are, you know what you're doing, but then there's people, I guess I'll call scammers, who are like, yeah, I can do this, and you can find so much information nowadays on people on social media, and I think that's what makes it hard, especially for the genuine people who are out here really trying to help. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful for people like yourself. So that's what I was trying to say.
I try my damnedest, am I allowed to say that on the show, to be as genuine as possible, because I am so critical. I will sit and watch like the YouTube videos of people catching psychics in like a lie or whatever. I'll watch that because I am them. I am so critical of even the psychic community, so I just come from a different playing field. Like I said, I didn't study this stuff. I don't have a mentor. I don't have anybody show me this stuff. I am learning this on my own and taking it the way that I feel works for me and helps other people.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it was always best to figure out what works best for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you it's okay to take other people's advice, but you really need to figure out what works best for you when it comes to doing this.
Right. Okay, we got another question here for you. Okay. There also seem to be more people than ever complaining of demonic attacks. I remember having this conversation last night. Do you believe an awakening of gifts are also bringing more positive and negative influences into the physical realm?
I think there are people who can bring in those negative and positive energies. The fact that it's believed that there's more demonic possessions, I question. there's demonic possession's been around forever. I mean, forever. Ever since time, and I believe in demonic possession. I do believe it's possible to be possessed by an entity. Absolutely. Part of the reason we might be more in tune to the levels, the amount, it feels like it's getting more worse or it's getting better, is basically access of information. We have access to this information right in our hands, on our phones, so we're going to know more and more and more about all these possessions. Now, keep in mind, some of them are just being reported as possessions and doesn't mean they are possessions. They may just been, there's a lot of factors. They could just be suffering from some mental illness, they're I hate to say drug overdose, anything, what I'm saying, hallucinations, whatever. And if you're not educated on that stuff, you're not going to know that. You're just probably going to assume it's a possession. But I believe even if you're intuitive, that does not give you the power to bring in negative and positive energies. I feel like let me explain it this way. When you're depressed, you're going to bring in some negative energy because of you become more vulnerable. This is something that I've been planning on discussing, comparing mental illness to paranormal. It's something I've been wanting to cover. But long story short, so you're going to allow in that vulnerability, right? So are you manifesting that negativity? Not necessarily. That negative energy? Not necessarily. You may just be opening yourself up to it, and that may be, when we look at things now and they're so negative and so terrible and stuff like that, all this craziness going on, we're making ourselves more vulnerable to, yes, in fact, negative energy can show itself more because we're vulnerable to it. That's why it's really important to take care of yourself and keep that positive energy around you, because that way you can have a good balance, because negative energies can still come in, even if you're a happy person, whatever, they can still pop in if they want. So, as for are many people bringing in these energies or practicing, I don't think that's the issue. I think lots of people have been practicing for years. I think what the issue is now is the amount of vulnerability we have out there to it, and that's why it seems to be escalating.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
It actually makes perfect sense. Yeah, because most people aren't aware of this, but I went through a bad depression for a good majority of 2020.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure that Scott was aware of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was still kind of in that bad state when you were introduced to us by Corey at Unity. I was still kind of in that bad state. Luckily, I got out of it. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. But I can definitely attest to the thing about bringing in the negative energies, because it just felt like everything was just off and wrong around where I went. So
and you're right. I mean, Clarissa, you said stuff about mental health, and schizophrenia is probably one of the biggest ones. I mean, that's already been proven scientifically and whatnot. So. Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, and unfortunately, as well as drug use. I mean, LSD and all that other stuff causing hallucinations. So I like how you brought that up. So I absolutely agree.
Awesome.
And I think that was something that you and I had talked about when we first thought about doing the show, covering mental illness and how it ties into the paranormal. So,
yeah. I'm no psychologist, but I probably do have a little more education on it than others. I just got my bachelor's degree last year in psych, so I studied it. I understand it. The reason that I haven't went full blown science, and because you would be afraid, you'd think, oh well, maybe she just going full-blown science now on you, is because I still don't have explanations for my experiences. If I'm still experiencing these phenomenons that don't make sense, other people are experiencing these phenomenons that don't make sense. So if I could figure out how I know stuff, or how I like whatever experience at a house or whatever, if I can explain it all, then I would be full, like, okay, that is a terrible pun because Clarissa explains it all. Sorry, guys. But if I could explain it all, then I would say 100% psychology proves everything, science proves everything. But I'm not there, and I know that there's still spirit out there, and I still feel it, and I still have these connections that I don't have explanations for. And so that's why I like to keep an open mind and learn both sides of things. Let's learn the spiritual side, and let's learn the scientific side, because the more knowledge, the better. We can come up with more conclusions as to what's really going on.
I'm glad you're doing that, because I don't really see a whole lot of mediums, empaths, psychics that want to explore both of them. They just really only want to focus on on that aspect of them instead of testing this one out and seeing how it works. Right.
Well, and you keep in mind, I didn't grow up with that religious upbringing, so. Religion, nothing against religion. I have nothing against religion, any religion at all. You do you, right? But religion, when we learn things and we have fear put into us, or we learn right and wrong a certain specific way, we're not really able to look beyond much more than that unless we're willing to look beyond more than that. I didn't grow up with any type of guidance at all. Like I said, the only time I went to church was with my grandparents, and other than that, I didn't have it. Like, we didn't have any specific religion. We were Christian, we were Catholic, we were Buddhist, we were whatever, So with that in mind, I was allowed to open myself up to more than just, yes, was it a struggle to figure out the spiritual things? Yeah, it was a struggle because I didn't have any guidance on that. But I also am able to keep an open mind to the scientific side of things. So I just think it's really important to just be as open-minded as possible. Your experiences are your experiences. I won't ever say you didn't have that experience. Even if I think that it may be something contributed to that experience, it doesn't mean you didn't have it. If you experience that, that's your experience. Even if it's a hallucination from having schizophrenia or whatever, you still had that experience. Was it your schizophrenia? Was it not? That's what we need to figure out. So.
And that is such a touchy subject alone, right there.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I've asked about parapsychology, if that's the same thing, but apparently it's not really the same thing, I don't think. So I don't know if there's any parapsychologists like watching this or whatever, but if they can explain that to me more, I just don't know.
If there is a parapsychologist watching this show, I want you on this show.
Yeah.
There is another good question. Do you believe pop culture is responsible for a majority of possession reports?
Yeah. Yes. I have an answer to that. Can I get 2 seconds? I got to go. Hold on. I'm sorry.
And now we are in intermission, everybody.
I'm going to say yes, because have you all ever seen Justin Bieber? That dude is always possessed. I'm just saying.
I thought you were going to say Zach for a second.
I was going to come in and go, do, 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 do. The old intermission music from Monty Python.
Oh, Tim.
Talking smack about me while I'm gone?
No,
absolutely not.
It's Tim being Tim.
Okay. I was not planning on getting interrupted during this, but my child just came home and the front door was locked. So sorry about that.
Yeah, you.
I guess I gotta let her in.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would not be a good night for you.
Yeah. No. So pop culture. Okay. So could you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry.
Okay. The question is, I gotta scroll up a little bit to get to it. Do you believe that pop culture is responsible for a majority of possession reports?
Majority of possession reports, probably.
Yeah.
Actual possessions, no. So the fun thing about horror movies and those type of things is it puts things in your head. It really does, whether you want to admit it or not. That's why some people, not everybody, when they get done watching a scary movie, they feel uncomfortable, even though there's no reason to feel uncomfortable. So it's going to heighten your senses, and it's going to make you believe, oh my God, I'm having these symptoms. I must be possessed. Okay, you're experiencing the same thing they experienced in the movies. First off, movies are not very accurate, for starters. They're entertaining. That's what they're made for. But not all of them are very accurate. But it's something you're learning. It's something you're seeing. It's something you're experiencing, and therefore you personally feel like you're experiencing it. So the heightened in reports, absolutely. It could be contributed by pop culture. Actual possessions has nothing to do with pop culture.
The power of suggestion is a very powerful thing, and these movies speak loud.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and believe it, and it's just not movies. Even video games. Like I just recently bought the PS4 VR system, and
nice.
I love it, dude. It's amazing. It's kind of freaky.
We'll have to be friends. I have a PS4.
Do you? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the games on there, or that you can buy, is The Exorcist. And I've watched video gameplay on this, and it is it's crazy. I mean, there's that and Paranormal Activity. There's one for Paranormal Activity, but and it can put all this stuff and especially younger kids, like you said, puts this in their heads. And my daughter is a prime example. I love my daughter to death, but she'll watch these movies or play video games, and then all of a sudden, Dad, something freaky's going on, and this and that. I'm like, you're buying too much into it.
Absolutely. Like you said, suggestion. Yeah, it can do a lot to a person's mind.
I'm trying to see if there are any more questions here for you.
Okay.
You have anything else, Scott?
Well, I was just, I was just reading some of the comments. Like Karma said, possession movies are giving people a blueprint to what a possession would be like. Absolutely. And then Kat Stewart said, spirits will play on your vulnerabilities, even enter your dreams. What do you think about that, Clarissa?
Well, what's the question? What do I think about?
It wasn't a question, more a comment.
I mean, I agree that they will enter on your vulnerabilities, but when they do that, you think more so in people's dreams?
I think people are highly vulnerable in their dreams. Absolutely, they are. Now there are ways, I'm sure, to lower your vulnerability while you sleep. I'm sure there's routines. There's probably rituals you can do. There's certain what I would consider you really need to clear the energy out of the room before you even sleep. Okay, but I myself actually suffer from night terrors and vivid dreaming and all of that. I think it's because I am vulnerable when I sleep. I do not purposely cleanse my room, clear everything out, any of that stuff. I am terrible at ritualistically going to bed, because I have trouble sleeping too. So I don't always go to bed at the same time. So I do feel like spirit absolutely you're way more vulnerable when you're asleep, and you can actually be. I wake up with scratches sometimes. I wake up feeling like I was beat up. Like they're bad. They get really, really bad sometimes. Sometimes I share them on my page. If you ever see them, you'll see what I go through and stuff like that. And it's intense. But I choose to let myself remain open in my sleep. That's something I probably should change, but I have not.
Wow. Yeah, because I've always thought, if you're dreaming of somebody, it's just that subconscious thought of somebody, or even dreaming of somebody that you're desiring the most at that particular moment.
Right. Well, here's what I learned about like REM sleep and all that stuff. This is what I know, is that they believe that it has to do with your consciousness and things you've experienced during the day, whatever's on your mind. But I could be incorrect here, but my understanding is it's what scientists believe is the situation. There's actually not concrete proof that that's what's going on in dreams. I could be wrong. If somebody knows of an article that can say otherwise, feel free to share. But that's why to me dreams are still kind of up in the air. They're still up in the air on what really is a dream.
And I can say, like, there are a couple of my own dreams that I remember to this day. When I was 16, my grandpa had passed away, and a couple of months after that, I had a dream about him, and the feeling that I got was that, like, he was just letting me know that he was okay.
Right.
And for years, even though I got that feeling for years, it was just letting myself know that he's okay, and it's okay for me to let him go. And then, oh man, I want to say maybe about 6 years after my mom had passed, she came. I had a dream about her, and it was the one and only dream I ever had about her. And I can still feel the very strong emotion during that dream. Um, that it's really hard to explain, and because of that particular dream, I don't know if it was just my subconscious desire to see her again, or if she came to me in that dream, because it was so strong.
Right. And I understand what you're saying. And, to me, this is just me, the way it feels would be a lot different if it was just a conscious thing as opposed to if it was the real thing. So that's something I would keep in mind, is how did you feel? If you really felt it was real, it probably was.
It felt very real, and it was so emotionally strong for me. For anybody who knows me, I don't cry. I never cry. You can ask Scott. He's known me for 10 plus years. I don't cry about anything.
Nope.
And I can remember myself actually crying in my sleep through this dream.
Did you wake up with tears and everything?
No, I didn't wake up.
Okay, you slept all through it, okay.
Yeah.
But you
I
could
slept all
feel
the
the
way-
emotion.
Yeah. I felt the emotion of it while I was sleeping.
Right.
It just one of those things that I probably would never really truly be able to explain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I can only tell you what I felt.
Right. Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds legit. Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope it was.
hmm I totally relate to you at this moment, especially about passing of your mom for obvious reasons.
I know.
As to why I was not on the show a couple months ago.
Yep.
So a lot of my dreams have been about my mother passing. She's right here. I got her on my little necklace.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been intense. I've been intensely dreaming a lot these past couple weeks since her passing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Cat Stewart wants to know what your thoughts are on astro traveling.
Astro channeling, like astro projection?
No, like astro traveling, like travel.
Oh, traveling.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so astral traveling, yes, I believe in that. If that's what you're asking, I
Yes.
actually have so many times. I like to test myself. I this weird thing about it where I'm like, what am I capable of? And I've tried to do this many, many, many times. I've tried to visit people just while they were awake. I've tried to purposely visit people while they're in their dreams, just because I want to test myself. I want to see if it's possible. Now, like I said, I don't read any books. So the gurus out there, I don't know what they do to do it. Um, I guess I could pick up a book and try to actually read something. Maybe I'd be able to do it. I don't know. Or maybe I'm not able to do it because it's not my calling. So I absolutely do believe in that.
Man, if I had that gift, I would be messing with so many people right now.
I know.
I think that is pretty scary, but I'd be doing the same thing. I would definitely. I'd haunt your dreams.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to test yourself. Just see if you could be successful.
Right.
There's something I actually tested myself on really recently, that I found really fascinating, because I've been not studying, I've been wanting to get into the healing process. And in order to do that, I feel like I have to be in contact with people. And so I have a boyfriend and he can test to this. And I said, hey, listen, I just want to hold your arm for a moment. And I want you to tell me if you feel any type of sensation and where. And I didn't tell him anything. And we tried it and it actually worked. I was thinking in my head, like it was almost like pinpoints. He's like, he could feel it here, then he feels it here, and he feels it here, feels it here. And he's like, my right knee. And I'm like, oh my God, did I just do that? Like, so those are things that you should probably test yourself on. But if you're doing healing, I would imagine that's what they would need to do. They would need to be able to pinpoint those areas that are in pain. So that's why it's something I definitely want to get into, because I've been, I've tried testing myself on it. I've been able to be successful in it. So yeah, it may be something you guys see me start doing more of.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
It freaked me out.
Never heard of anything like that before.
Well, you have to remember I do things my own way.
Right.
But I mean, how else are they going to know that they're healing somebody, without testing themselves? Do like, if there's any healers out there, feel free to share how it works, because I'm curious. But do you just touch the person and then they feel better because you told them where they were going to feel better? Like, this is once again one of those things where I know that you tell something to somebody in advance and you can't be doing that. That's one thing you can't do. So unless they really ask for it, then
Right. So Steve White wants to know, can we possibly change the course of a deja vu meaning from a bad situation to a good situation?
In my opinion, yes. And I say that because I get deja vu too. And when I do, I like to walk away. Because if I think I know where this is going, I will walk away. And that's the best thing that I can do, is walk away from that. Like, I see it here. When I seen it before, this is what I did. I'm not going to do that because I know what the result is. I'm going to look away. Even if it's just looking away and be like, you just take a moment like, oh my God, deja vu. And you just look back. Sometimes that's all it takes, just to get it to stop. You got to get it to stop, like, from happening. And that's like, I absolutely believe in deja vu, 100%.
I do too, because I suffer from it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. I absolutely believe in deja vu. I've had numerous dreams, and it happens. You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I dreamt
absolutely.
this. Like, man, that's kind of freaky, man. I don't like that, but
It
yeah.
is.
And I mean, you can embrace that moment, or you can be like, nope, not doing it. And usually I opt for nope, not doing it.
Right. And a girl that I know, Denise Williams, she's like, what if you're held down and you can't seem to move any part of your body? And for me, I would have to go with sleep paralysis. I think that's what it's called, when
Mm-hmm.
you're fully awake or kind of awake, but yet you cannot move at all.
That's where your brain is awake, but your body is still asleep. Yep.
Yes.
But
are they asking about it? Are they asking about sleep
I
paralysis?
think so. Yes. I'm not sure. I think she is. Right, Denise? You are? I hope.
Well, I can tell you another story about that if you want.
No, absolutely.
Because I believe in sleep paralysis. That's, once again, that's one of those things that's been proven. But, however, if you have an experience similar to this, I would question it. So, a couple years ago, I went to the Hannah House for the first time. You guys familiar with that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for the Paracon that Jason Snyder used to do. Hopefully he's doing it again this year. I see some posts out there. I went there for the first time, was there with the paranormal group. I did the tour and I came home. That night, I went to sleep. My daughter at the time was still sleeping in my room. She slept in my room forever. And I was asleep. However, this is a little different than sleep paralysis. So in my dream, or at least what felt like a dream at the time, me and her were being overcome with like this black entity just coming across the bed over us. And I felt in danger. And so I myself was like struggling to move because I felt like not just me, but my child was in danger, because in my dream, she was in the bed. And here's the difference with my dream and what happened compared to sleep paralysis. So sleep paralysis, you can't move, period, right? In my dream, where I could not move, I actually could not move at all, like in my dream. I felt like in life, I was in between sleep and awake, However, as soon as I finally was able to break free of that dream, I turned on my light at the same time. Because in my dream, I was reaching for my light. I just felt like I had to turn the light on. I just had to turn the light on. In my dream, I was turning the light on, but in real life, I actually turned the light on too. But I was asleep. So I was in between that state of awake and asleep. Now, I think that's a little bit different of experience, but I do absolutely believe in sleep paralysis being a situation to where you just can't move because you're sleeping, or whatever the scientific reason is why you can't move. But in my situation, I feel like it was more of a spiritual thing.
Wow.
So,
does your daughter show any signs of any gifts?
She just turned 9 last month.
Okay.
I try my best not to teach my children everything that I do, because I want them to be able to be as open-minded as I am. That's what I want for my kids. Some would say frown on that, but hey, we do what we do. And so I let them be them. I let them learn what they want, and I don't throw, oh, mom's going. They know I go ghost hunting. They know that I do readings for people because I also have a 15-year-old. But I don't think, at least the 9-year-old doesn't understand what a reading is. I think my 15-year-old does. My daughter, she's talked about a couple entities in our house, the house I live in currently, but that's about it as far as it goes. She for a long time, that's why she was sleeping in my room, because she was scared of the house. My son has also showed signs of having an understanding. We actually took him on a ghost investigation a couple years ago. We went to a cemetery. He was probably about 12 at this time. It wasn't really me pushing him to go. I think he wanted to see what he was capable of. And he, I believe, is an empath for sure, because he stood over this grave and started telling this story about this gentleman and had tears in his eyes. I mean, he's a teenage boy. Why is he crying? And so, he that's what he did at this instance. And so I do feel like he may have empathic abilities. As for my daughter, she's, I think, too scared to go down any type of path. So I think, we'll wait and see. If she doesn't want to get into anything like this, that's fine. If she does, that's great.
Being at her age, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I'm going to jump back to sleep paralysis.
Yes.
My question is, do you think if you experience sleep paralysis, you're more vulnerable than what most people would be just regular sleeping?
Not necessarily. No, I don't think so.
Good.
Good. I have all the right answers, right?
Absolutely.
Am I getting graded on this? I'm a little curious.
No,
you're graded on the curve. There was a question, but I think in a way you actually kind of answered this, but it might be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever use a distancing technique to allow the emotional information that comes in to be viewed like seeing a movie? You're there, but only observing.
I guess that would be kind of like a vision. Like, I can see the emotion, but I'm not feeling the emotion. Is that like how I'm keeping my distance? I mean,
Linda, if you're still here, can you kind of elaborate on that question, please? Because
the issue with me is I'm so sensitive to other people's emotions that I'm not as good as just it's hard for me to just watch the emotion happen and not feel the emotion. It's really hard to do because not spiritually speaking, there is research on just this thing about witnessing emotion and feeling the emotion. It's very human-like to feel something you're seeing. That doesn't make me super empathic. It just makes me human. But actually feeling something I'm not seeing is a little different. Does that make sense? You guys should look into it. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. I just want to say hi to our buddy, Robert Murphy from Elite. Dude's amazing.
Yes, he's like a brother team to us.
Awesome. Hello.
There's a lot of people in the chat tonight. A lot of new names that I've never seen.
Well, I did share it, so.
So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you for checking us out.
Yep,
and
thank
check out the other shows on the Paranormal United Network.
Cat Stewart wants to know, and I'm not sure what these are, the olive fist or fig hand.
The what?
The olive fist, like a fist, or fig hand. I don't know if it's
the olive fist.
I think it goes in with the comment she made right before that. She says she has a few protective ways to repel bad energy or spirits, and then she says the olive fist or fig hand.
I'm not familiar with those.
Okay.
No.
I'm not either.
I was like Kung Fu style. Ooh.
Yeah.
the only fig that I can think of would be the fig Newtons.
Yeah. Kat just said it's a protective repellent technique. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate it because I was kind of confused. Which is
something
really
new.
Not hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Something new to look into.
We got a guy here. I guess he's looking to get a hold of a medium.
Okay.
His name is Edward Cattell.
Okay.
Yeah. Edward, all you got to do is follow Clarissa's page. Is it your screen name right here?
No, it's at Medium Empath Clarissa. My last name's not on it. Okay. But yeah, it is what's there except for my last name.
Okay, so Edward, follow her page, and you should be able to get a hold of her through that.
And if your preferred method is Instagram or Twitter, I'm on both.
Okay. So, have you been able to using your gift, been able to go to a location, and you know how it's all the same. You go there, they give you these tours, and they tell you the stories of what supposedly happened there. Have you been able through your communications and everything, been able to say that the stories that the guides gave you were completely false and that this is what actually happened?
I have, well, first off, I rarely go through the tours.
Oh.
I rarely do. I rarely do the tours, but I will say this. I do that on purpose because I like to go in blind, but there has been times where I have told them I don't believe that. Like, I'm sorry, that's just not what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not wrong. Who knows? Like, there's no proof in the pudding unless you can like bring it out here, right? But yeah, I will kind of say to them, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to say you're wrong. You maybe you have history, maybe you have paperwork on it, but it's not what I'm experiencing. So I have done that. Absolutely. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's got to be done. I'm assuming.
And there's I know I was at some place not that long ago where they're like, oh, it was a suicide. It was a suicide. It was a suicide. And I was like, no, it won't. No, it was not. What are you talking about? This was not a suicide. This was a murder. So there's been moments where I've questioned stuff like that.
Having said that, there is a place that I have been to recently that it's been, it's actually on the police report that such a person committed suicide.
Okay.
But through the investigation and what came through over a spirit box and EVP session has led me to believe that it could be a murder.
Right.
It wouldn't happen to be the same place that you're talking about, would it? Would it start?
Maybe.
Would it start with a D?
Yes, it would.
We need to talk afterwards.
All right.
Well, I just want to say hi to Freddie Johnson real fast. Hi, Freddie. That's Robert.
Oh, Freddie's here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, because there have been some times like we went to Randolph Asylum late last summer. And
don't tell me too much. I haven't been there.
no, I won't really say anything. I'll just tell you what happened. Is that they told us that a specific event happened in one room, but due to research that a couple members of the team did, Tim and Crystal, they found out that the incident actually took place in another room.
Ah, nice.
Now the guides, they probably weren't intentionally telling us this information. It was probably what was told to them, and the stories that was passed on down to them, because I know how it happens. I'll tell you, hey, I'm going to go buy me a new car tomorrow.
Yep.
After word has gotten through 20 people, I'm now going on a car lot.
Right. It's telephone.
It's how it happens.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Kat Stewart wants to know what your thoughts are on the evil eye.
What does she mean, the evil eye?
Well, it must be something important because it's capitalized.
Right? Yeah,
maybe I know it as something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I give a person the evil eye, you know.
Right. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, you call me short? Evil eye, you.
Yeah, like that.
Kat said that she had many run-ins and confrontations with, now all capitalized, the evil eye. The evil eye is a protection of negative energy. This is coming from Lori Johnson.
I have not come across the evil eye, but now I'm curious.
Now I'm curious too.
Yeah, I've not. Yeah, Scott. Yeah, no, anytime I've come across anything evil, I've never came across something protecting the evil. That's new to me and very interesting.
It would be an interesting spin on things. That is for sure. I've never heard of anything like that, because if something is very negative,
yeah,
what protection would it need unless it's protection from somebody trying to drive it out?
Right. Like it's evil, but it's not evil enough to stay. You know, like it's not strong enough to stay if the right person comes in.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So in your journey, have you actually run across anything truly evil, or just something that tried to portray itself as being negative?
I will say at this moment, I've never met a demon. I don't think. I've met non-human entities. Truly evil, typically the human ones that are quote evil, get to know them a little bit better, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn where that said evilness comes from. Okay. I'm a strong believer in just because you die doesn't mean you change. Okay.
We just had that conversation last night with somebody.
Did you?
Yeah, it was on the Petri dish last night.
I was in and out of the room. Sorry.
Okay. Well, one of the things that Howard was saying, that if you're a nice person in life, when you die, you will probably be a nice spirit. If you are an ass in life, you will most likely be an ass when you're dead.
Yes, and the thing is, what I would think would be great for those that are deceased and those that are miserable being deceased. I think it would be great if people would treat them like they would treat somebody miserable in life. You'd try to be supportive. You try to understand their struggle. I would totally support that.
Yeah.
But that's human entities as opposed to non-human entities where I don't really feel like their emotions are justified. So it's a lot different. But yeah, I've definitely come across some evil things. Entities like to make me sick for some reason. They like to make me nauseated or nauseous and whatnot. So that's I usually don't get physically attacked as in like a scratch or hair pulled or anything like that. I usually get sick is how they like to attack me.
That seems to be a common thing um, amongst people with your gifts.
Hmm.
That,
Yeah.
that you always try to make them ill.
Hmm. Yep. That happens a lot.
So, you guys, Jeremy, you were saying, if you're nice in life, you'll be nice in death. Dude, that's really depressing for me because I'm short and I don't want to be short when I'm dead. I want to be tall. I mean,
Well,
I'm good. I'm already good looking, but I don't want to be short.
not talking about personalities, talking about
Oh,
physical features.
okay,
Like
my bad.
physical, I find personality wise, they're pretty much the same in death, but physical wise, I find that they like to present themselves in different ways. So maybe you can make yourself taller. Maybe you have the energy for that, you know?
Ooh, that would be so awesome.
I can see it now. Scotty's going to be a big 20-foot angel coming after you. Oh, call me short now.
That's right, buddy.
Or maybe you'll finally get that spirit that keeps calling you out at the jail.
Ooh, right?
That's another story.
Sounds like an interesting story.
It is actually.
Very. And I wouldn't, being me, I mean, I'm a believer, but I'm a skeptic, on certain things. And with the spirit box was one of them. And I probably, if I wasn't there and happened twice to me with at two different times. So, yeah,
Yeah.
something wants me there. And I don't
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Or at least says they want you there. He got stood up twice by a ghost.
Yeah, well,
That's about the best way I can describe it.
story of my life.
Yeah.
That's
And
Go ahead.
I'm actually going back there tomorrow. We don't know yet if Scott's going to be able to go or not, but I'm going back there tomorrow.
Which jail is this? Crown Point?
Yep.
Okay.
One of our favorite locations.
Yeah, it's a good location because
I've
we'll be
been there
back there in
once.
March as well,
Okay.
Yeah.
It is March.
or May. My bad.
Okay. Speaking of skeptics, by the way, I do welcome skeptics to get readings for sure. So, just so you know, if you're watching, you're a skeptic, you're welcome.
There you go.
I'm not.
You want to
I'm
test her out?
I'm not looking at it as a challenge. I'm looking at it as an opportunity. So, I'd love to help if I can.
Yes. Tim's having fun with the comments.
Right?
I think
At first, I thought maybe it might have been you, Scott, and then I remembered that we got somebody in the background.
Yeah, and I can't post comments, so. And Tim brought up a point that I've been scratched on an investigation before. I don't know quite what that means, but yes, I have.
It happens.
Mhm.
It does. The reason why can sometimes be a mystery.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And, you know, because as for me, like when I investigate, for the most part, I'm really closed off. I really am. I don't open myself up and allow just my body and everything just to feel everything. I completely close myself off. So for me to get scratched, it was actually very interesting. Even though I still tried to debunk it and say, "Oh, this
Mhm.
might have happened or that," there's still no explanation of why I got scratched. So
Right. Yeah, well, that's good. You try to debunk it, but maybe they were just trying to get your attention.
they did.
Sounds like it, yeah.
And I got scratched too at a haunted attraction that is reported to be actually haunted.
Yeah, okay.
And I got scratched on my right elbow. I called one of my teammates about it, and he told me it was weird because another one of our teammates discovered a scratch on the same elbow
Yeah.
that day, and it was about the exact same length and a little jagged, exactly how mine was. Now I
Really?
thought, now see, I wasn't wearing a jacket. It was cold, and I was the only idiot to come out there without the jacket because it was so warm outside during the day.
Yeah.
But I did not anticipate a 50-degree drop. That's how it felt like.
Yeah.
So, and I thought maybe, okay, we're in a haunted attraction, so there's all kinds of things everywhere, and you got just a tight little pathway throughout the entire building, except for the second floor where they got where everybody get into their little costumes so that they can be able to jump out and go.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I thought maybe I just bumped into something, not realizing it. Certainly didn't feel it. But when I
Yeah.
woke up the next morning, it felt this scratch. And I was like, oh, okay. And when I told him about it, he's like, yeah, one of our other members got that too. Okay,
Interesting. Okay.
it was interesting. So,
so
and one day I would like to go back.
Right. Absolutely. Anytime I've ever been like sick or whatever at an investigation, I always want to go back to. So I get it.
so Kat Stewart wants to know, how do you know when spirits are trying to connect with you? She said because she can feel when spirits are trying to connect with her. She has an intense pressure in her head, so she wants to know, how do you know if they're trying to connect with you?
All right. Well, there's several ways I feel like I connect with spirits, or they're trying to get my attention. Um, Really, just about almost all the senses. I see them, I feel them, smells, dreams. The energy just feels different in the room. I feel a presence as if I'm being watched. And sometimes, like, I'll start thinking about something that makes no sense. Like, they call it they call it intrusive thinking, actually, in the science world. But it's kind of like, why am I thinking about this? It's not. It's there's no rhyme or reason, and then you get a sense that something's in the room and something that's telling you that, or you can hear, like, I've heard things straight up, like, hey, somebody's like, hey, and I'm like, what? Who? Nobody's here. So there's several ways that I have been in contact, um, or have been reached out to. And sometimes, like, when I see or smell or something like that, they might not necessarily be trying to get my attention. It could be residual. But usually I can tell the difference if it's residual or if they're trying to get a message out.
Okay. Um, is there ever a time when you are actually truly alone and they're not bothering you, and you can finally just sit down and just kick back, relax, and know that there's nobody trying to get to you right now?
I would say yes. And usually those moments are only within my own home. And that's because even though we've had experiences in my home, I make it well known to those that reside in here, living or deceased, that this is my space. So I do make it well known. Do they always listen? No. Then do they show up at the worst possible times? Yeah. But that's probably the easiest time for me to get peace from all of it. There's times where I think that I'm gonna get peace, like when I'm out driving or something like that. No, doesn't work that way. There's like times where I think like certain situations, like, okay, this should be fine. Like, I'm not really feeling anything, and then bam, it hits me. So, it's always a sense that something's there almost all the time, except for those moments. And I don't necessarily enjoy being completely alone anyways. I enjoy company, so it doesn't really bother me most of the time. I just kind of ignore it half the time unless there's something I feel like I really need to listen to. But at my house is probably about the best I can get to not being interrupted.
I'm kind of the same way in a sense. when I'm ready for some truly alone time, and now I live in my house by myself. I live alone. But my true sense of truly being alone is when I can take my hearing aids out and not have to wear them for the next however long.
Yeah.
Then I am figuratively and literally in peace.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to get away from, but yes, it does happen.
No. I apologize. My mouth ain't talking right. Now, do you meditate when you need to relax? Will you meditate just to try and rebuild that energy and just, if you got anything negative, you just try to completely push it away from you?
Well, my idea of meditating is probably not the same as everyone else's. Once again, I'm uneducated in this, guys. Remember?
Oh, absolutely.
So I absolutely one piece of advice I hate to give people is looking at them and saying, just meditate on it. Like, I hate that answer so much. So you can't just meditate on stuff, guys. It doesn't work that way. You can't just sit there and be like, I'm going to clear my mind. I'm going to clear my mind. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to train your mind to do that, okay? So my idea of to get away from everything, what I usually do is I walk away is what I'll do. If I'm in a negative area on a hunt, whatever, I will walk away. I will ground myself. I will go outside and just be like, I will speak out loud to the entities and I will tell them basically to F off if I have to. I will do that. It's whatever I can do to get away from the situation. I don't necessarily meditate on it. Now, when I'm at home, if I'm overwhelmed by spirits or whatnot, I do the same thing here. I ask them to leave. And I've not really been unsuccessful doing that. I guess I'm lucky. I haven't come across an entity, like, they don't necessarily listen, but if they don't listen, I always have somewhere I can go. I don't have to stay there. I don't have to be trapped by this entity. I can walk away too. So that's really my way of clearing my mind, is to get out of the situation.
What about the use of crystals or sage or frankincense? Do you use any of that stuff?
I have crystals. Do I believe in crystals? Some. There's certain crystals I like to keep, such as amethyst. I'm kind of biased because I'm a February baby, so I love amethyst. So I keep that. I keep that in my car because I used to feel like I got hitchhikers all the time, is what I call them. So I keep that in my car with a couple other things. Do I believe that they are undeniably powerful? No, not necessarily. They have their benefits to them. They do. However, you have to put more into it than just purchasing the crystal. You have to purchase the crystal. You have to put the energy out there of the result that you want. You can't just assume that, hey, I have this lucky crystal here, I'm going to win the lottery or something. Like, you can't do that. Like, you have to put the energy into it in order for it to help you get towards that result. When it comes to cleansings, because you're talking about sage, when it comes to cleansing, okay, I've only used sage once. I've never cleansed anybody else's house with any type of thing. I've gone into people's houses and I've asked entities to leave. Okay, I've done that, but I've not used any type of natural element. The reason I haven't done that yet is cleansings and healings are two things that I feel it is important for me to actually learn the right way. Okay, I'm not going to just sage and salt your house. That's ridiculous. Okay. This is probably the reason I do need somebody who is highly educated in this to actually come into my life. So if you're out there and you're actually educated in this, you're not going to tell me you just sage and salt. Like, I personally have a strong connection with what I feel like both. I feel like I have a strong connection with the Native American side of things and the Wiccan side of things. And I think it's because I feel strongly with nature. So for me personally, if when it comes to cleansings and stuff, I would want to use natural elements, but I know that it takes more than just saging a place to cleanse it. You have to believe in it. There's probably a ritualistic practice you have to do in order for it to be efficient. And those are the things that I have not yet got the opportunity to learn, and what I absolutely feel like I would love to learn. And so when I get a call and I do a walkthrough for you guys, I'm able to say, I'm not just able to tell you what your problem is, but I'm able to help you fix it. Instead of, because I can tell you what your problem is. That's what I do. I will go in there and I will tell you what's going on. That's what I do currently. But I want to be able to take it a step further and fix it for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to be able to learn, like the proper way of being able to do the saging, and I can actually recommend somebody for you. In fact, he was in this chat room.
Was he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if they are, a dedicated healer, whatever, cleanser, whatever they call themselves, gypsy, I don't know. I've heard so many names for it. They're dedicated. They know.
He's not a healer. He's in the chat right now.
Okay.
He's not a healer. He's a fellow investigator, just like the rest of us.
Okay.
He's just very well versed and very well educated in just all aspects of it.
Yeah,
in fact, he has sent a saging kit. I don't know if it's called a sage. It's a kit of some sort that involves saging. And the other stuff that he sent them.
Right.
A list of very specific instructions on how to do it.
Okay.
So I can definitely get you in touch with him if you want to move forward with that.
Yeah, it's something I have been wanting to do for a while now. I mean, I love helping people. I love going in and giving them answers. Now I want to do more for them.
There he is, Robert Murphy. That's his profile picture on Facebook. He's one of my dear friends.
Amazing guy. Absolutely amazing.
He is. He's
awesome.
To me, he is probably the smartest man, aside from Tim, the smartest man in the paranormal field, and that is my personal opinion.
Awesome.
I would absolutely say that as well. I mean, the guy's he's such a genius, and yeah.
And we got a couple people that are pretty much vouching for him. Gina is saying Robert is amazing. He has helped me a lot. And let's see, a couple other people have said something. But yeah, Robert to me would be the go-to guy if you want to learn about.
I'll get in touch with him.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely.
We are starting to run out of time.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it is. Just when the conversation is.
I
know we have so much more to talk about.
The conversation all night has been amazing.
Yeah, because we haven't had a show like this before, where we talk to somebody and learning what she did and how she handles her mediumship.
Right, and it's amazing. I mean,
I got more stories to tell, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have to have you back on the show then.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's just make sure it's not on a Friday night where you're working, because we had that fear one time too.
Yeah, we did. Actually, I'm about to start a new job, so I should be available on Friday nights.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so this is the point of the show where we basically take you off the stream. But we still keep you on. We'll keep you in the background with Tim and Scott and I do
your thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I just put a plug in here for a second?
Absolutely.
So if you be so kind to follow me on Facebook at Medium Empath Clarissa, or Instagram at Medium Empath Clarissa, or Twitter Medium Empath C, please do so, and feel free to message me. That's all I have to say.
Nice. And we'll put links up on our page.
Yes.
Okay.
So that way people can follow you. So.
Okay. Awesome.
And you'll have to send me the links to your Twitter and Instagram, because I rarely on them. So
yeah, I do have a YouTube channel, but I only have like 5 videos.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, guys. I have watched some of her videos. She's very good. She is quite informative on some of the things that she's talked about. You don't have very many videos, right? You just started like in the fall, didn't you?
Yes, I got momentum, was doing them once a week, and then I crashed and burned or something. I don't know what happened.
Right.
I think it was because it was winter, and I hate winter.
I think a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. And it just brings me to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to hide in my bed where it's warm, you know?
Right.
I can relate to that. I think everybody can relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, definitely. Thank you so much for finally being on the show, and for coming on short notice too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having our back. We appreciate
no
it.
problem. Yeah, I was available. Good thing, huh?
It was great that you were, because when our original guest for this week, she needed to reschedule due to family situations.
I get it.
Also had a death in the family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Ironic, isn't it?
Now on, just invite me last minute, okay? Just to be on the safe side.
Okay, well, definitely thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Such a joy and a pleasure having you on here.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much, and thank you everybody that tuned in.
All right, we'll see you here in just a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Wow.
Dude, another great show, man. You know, and it was nice to have another fresh topic, at least, you know, for me. And, you know, missing my homeboy last week, Nick Moulet, which I apologize. But, you know, another great topic, you know, and Clarissa is amazing. Like you said, we got to meet her. down to Paracon and got to talk to her. So it was awesome.
And I actually got to work with her on a case, and somewhat on a second case too. Same family, so we actually got to be able to work with her a little bit on that. And hopefully we'll be able to work together again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully.
Yeah, and Scott, if there's an incentive for you, we will be investigating with Nick tomorrow night.
I know, right? And I'm just like,
so if that's not incentive enough to get you to come, I don't know what is.
Well, you know, I'm really hoping I get to.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a really good conversation that we had, and she also touched up on a topic that you and I think we had on the original list that we wanted to cover, and that was mental illness.
Absolutely, yes.
Because
you know, she has a degree. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, so that was really awesome that we could bring that up and talk about it. And I know in some aspects of the paranormal field, mental health can be frowned upon, you know, but once again, you know, we've talked to several people like Clarissa and even Robert Murphy, you know, about mental illness. I believe he brought it up during his show with us. And I think it's always just a good thing to talk about.
It is. It is good. It's a very important thing because a lot of people don't realize that too. Yeah. And tomorrow night at the Old Lake County Sheriff's House and Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, things will be investigating there, and we will also be doing a live panel. We're guessing it's going to be right around 11 Eastern time. It'll only be for about an hour, and we'll basically kind of go through the jail, talk about this, that, and the other, talk to a couple of the special guests that we're going to have 3 special guests with us, and Nick is one of them.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll be able to talk to them live, and on the panel we're going to have Howard Petrie, Rosie Page, Greg Backham, if I said his last name right, and Ane Shem. They will be investigating with us for that hour.
Nice.
Yes. So meanwhile, I am going to go ahead and kick it over to our brand new ending theme video.
Yep.
And in the next show we'll be on in an hour, it is Bishop James Long.
Yep.
It's like sacred division. I'm really bad at the show titles. But
it's all right.
James,
So am I.
Yeah. But James Long, he should have a show on in an hour. So stay tuned for that. And remember, if it's paranormal or beyond.
Hey, y'all, we got it covered.
Yes, we do. You guys have a good night, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.